So I want to go back a wee bit now because I want to know more about you, Alex.
Right.
Yeah. Because I think you are quite a private person, aren't you? You keep your private life kind of private. But how was you said this last night at the show in terms of like growing up, with your friends around, and then trying to get into breaking into comedy and television and things like that.
Can I say one thing though, Chris? First of all, this is just gradually sinking in. Oh. It's very nice of you. I don't want to sound flippant about this at all, but I do think when they're saying thank you to me, what they're really saying thank you to is the show, which I'm definitely responsible for in some element. But I will definitely pass this around the team, I think, just so you know. I'm trying to work out what to do with it because it's the sort of thing, what do you do? So anyway, that's what's been going on underneath the surface. Yes, getting into comedy.
Yeah, just getting into comedy, growing up in London, all that sort of stuff. Just who is Alex Horne?
Right, okay. So I think I'm private-ish in that the more podcasts you do, I said to you last night, I'd much prefer doing a podcast in real life because then you have a genuine conversation. But I do a lot of podcasts and Zoom is very helpful. So just chip away at your private. I think I've talked about pretty much everything now.
Okay, good.
But I was, normal kid. So in the south coast of England with Ben and Joe, who were in the band. We were best friends then. We're still best friends now, along with Tim, I suppose. Like they all know Tim as well. So I went to school. We all went to the local primary school. Then I was hoiked out and went to private school. What did I say before? Primary. Yeah, I went from state primary to private school for various reasons. And, it's something you've almost had to come to terms with, that I went through the private system. So I had an awful lot of privileges, and I went from there to Cambridge University, which again is a elitist, privileged place, which was sort of, it's an odd thing because there was definitely a thing where people who went to Cambridge, especially white men, got a step up in the comedy world, which is sort of embarrassing and, slightly shameful, or it definitely was shameful. But there's no point flagellating yourself too much because it's what's happened.
Yeah.
So there's no point. I think I did deny it. I didn't necessarily deny it, but I didn't admit it for a while. But then it's there on Wikipedia, so no point pretending. So I went there, and I went to Cambridge not to do comedy at all, but I knew about Footlights, and I always had a love of comedy. I was shy. I like listening to things and reading things, and I like Monty Python and the Blues Brothers. Yeah, those are my influences, I suppose. And then things like Bill Bailey and Sean Locke when I was 18. So I liked comedy. I sought out the Footlights because I'd heard of it. I knew about Peter Cook. I knew about Fry and Laurie, and most of the people I'd heard of seemed to have been to Footlights. I didn't know what Footlights was, but I found it, and when I went, it was essentially a open mic comedy club where you had to audition in front of 4 people, which was terrifying, to do a 90-second bit of it could be any sort of comedy. I would just did stand-up, and then you do a comedy night if you got through, and that was my education in comedy, and started doing competitions in London through Time Out magazine, and gradually built some sort of a setup, and then got an agent through that, and met people like Tim and Mark Watson, and took it from there. So I don't know, that's a short answer.
Yeah.
So I was pretty shy, but also confident enough to put myself forward for some reason. That was quite out of character. But I'd been funny at home with my parents and my brothers and grandparents, so I thought I could make people laugh. And it's simple. If you can make your family laugh, you can probably make other people laugh, I think.
I make my girls, I make their eyes roll when I get the, that one.